Luke Medley a start on Tuesday. Do you feel that Luke Medley's ready for a regular starting spot, or do you see him as the, shall we say, awful phrase of super sub?
Well, I think fans are going to make comparisons with Jake Spate, with Jake coming off the bench a lot and scoring goals. I think Luke deserved his chance, and it was good to give Keegan a bit of a breather, because Keegan's still finding his feet regarding fitness, as is Luke. So they've both only been at the club a minimal amount of time, and neither of them, I don't think, have really played a full 90 minutes. And so you have to manage that area. And I felt Keegan, after his displays, deserved a bit of a slight rest and take the pressure off him. But I think Luke, I don't know whether it was a little bit of nerves or whatever, but I think he did very, very well. And again, a young man that's hopefully got a bright future for this football club.
We talked about defensive errors again on Tuesday night, David. There'd been a very good defensive performance up to that mistake. Has it been a case of picking up the back four this week, or have they remained positive after Tuesday night?
Oh no, there's been a real positive feel around the dressing room, and obviously the boys we've got a big game coming up on Saturday, which we're looking forward to. But I mean, one thing I'll commend Kettering on is they're very good at clearing the ball. And those little clearances, I said this at half time, is though when it needs to go rosette, that they're very good at that, and that can take the pressure off. A slight misclearance or whatever can really be a telling factor. So little things again where players can learn about and understand, and at times if it needs to go rosette, sling it in the car park, no problem with it.
How do experienced campaigners like Steve Foster react to making mistakes such as Tuesday night, as well as previously on Saturday?
Are you blaming Steve Foster for that?
I wasn't blaming Steve Foster entirely, but just in terms of his mental attitude this week.
David Fozzie's been around a long time. He's got a big game coming up this weekend, and he's been a credit to himself since he's been here. He's made a mistake at Fleetwood and recovered it fantastically well. So no, I'm not pointing no blame at anybody on Tuesday night. The performance was a very good performance and an assured performance. You must give credit to a Kettering side who say are a strong outfit, and so no, I'm very proud of my players, and I want them to believe in what they're doing. And every game so far, albeit the first half at Fleetwood, we've played very, very well.
On to this weekend, Cambridge, a side, to borrow a phrase that you've coined, David, one of those 16 sides who will be looking to do well this year. Yes,
they certainly will be. They're finding their feet, but you're looking at their reports. They've played well in games, and certainly the experience they've got now, I think, is a valid point. The experience they've got in certain areas it will be a telling factor, and I expect the Cambridge side, and I think they would expect themselves to be certainly in around the playoff area, if not greater than that.
They've not made a glittering start to the season. Pressure on them?
I think that the pressure's on every manager to do well. They haven't probably had the start that Martin would like, but because of the attributes that their players that they've brought in. But I've got a huge amount of respect for Martin Ling. He's managed in the league and certainly was a good player. And ultimately, he's been able to bring in some very talented players, and I admire the squad he's got.
It's a funny old league though, if we look at it in a minute. Sides like York City, Newport County, Cambridge in that bottom six. Not telling the full facts though, is it that?
Well, it's only telling the facts from where we are so far. Games have come thick and fast, and being able to manage those games and players in a short space of time. Because bear in mind, over the pre-season, players only got maybe 2 or 3 games, full games. So there's still probably 2 games, maybe 3 games away from getting the sharpness that they would probably require. There will be some fatigue in some players, and you have to manage that. And if you do see a sign of that, if you can change it, then obviously all well and good. But there will be some squads that have a smaller squad that won't be able to change it, and have that versatility. For me, that those clubs down the bottom will certainly be anxious to get their victories on their belt. But likewise, I think we must give credit to people like David Hockaday at Forest Green, who got well and truly beaten here on the first game and have responded fantastically well. And so again, another manager like ourselves that's had to bring in various amount of players, and his team have gone out there and put some very good displays on for him. So I think people like David deserve credit.
From what you've said there, David, do you feel that your side are ahead of where you expected them to be at this time of the season?
I'm very pleased with how we've orchestrated the team spirit and the level of fitness levels. When you're bringing in new people to a football club, I think there's the benefit when you speak to people correctly and how you treat them. And the players have settled into this football club extremely well. I think that's a mannerism that I like, and I hope that the players. You've seen people like Paul Connor and various other players that have come in and had a difficult time last season. So when when it hasn't gone so well for them, you have to try to pick them up. And I think that the way that they're treated at this football club and the way that they're treated inside the training camp is testament to the way we go about things and in a professional manner. And they're playing with a smile on their face. Paul had a difficult year last year, and I think Paul's been a fantastic coup for this club. And I'm sure that the others, once they find their feet and settle in as well as that we'd like them to, will become better players for it.
Has your job then this summer, David, been to instil a bit of belief into the likes of Paul Connor, Adam Smith, Keegan Parker, those players that you described there?
Absolutely right, and that's a telling factor. I think that Adam, you mentioned Adam, is that he didn't play regularly last season, and there's lots of factors that are helping him settle into this football club rather easily. And the boys are training with a big smile on their face, and they're coming out here and expressing themselves. So the motivation's there, and once they cross that line, we hope that behind the scenes everything is settled.
Let's come on to the team news for this weekend. Reports this morning that Kevin Samworth will hold on to the left back shirt this weekend.
Well, we're going to look at Paul, obviously, and see how his thigh is. I don't know whether there's been enough time for that to settle down because it's a major muscle, and we would like him obviously to be fit for the future rather than just one game. I think Kevin Samworth enjoyed playing. He certainly enjoyed scoring a wonderful goal, and it gives me food for thought. But what I won't do is I cannot afford to risk players and putting them in a position of vulnerability where they may not be able to play the following game. So we'll look at that and we'll see how Paul comes through training this morning and see what we can do after that.
A tough period though, because you play on Saturday then Monday. Need to keep legs fresh. Will there be changes this weekend, or is it going to be a case of changes on Monday? That may be the case. We'll see. We'll see how people feel, and I'll have a good discussion with half a dozen or so on making sure that we get a maximum out of the weekend if possible. But you're playing against a strong Cambridge side, as we've said, and then you go into a tough place like Altrincham, which is where the gladiators fear to tread, isn't it? Over there, you fight for everything there. So we're looking forward to that as well, and we had some good contests and a firm contest last year with them. So it's all to look forward to, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to the weekend. Healthy rivalry regarding Altrincham? Yeah, that was last season. I mean, Mr. Heathcote, he puts a side out and they play the game, and I like that as well. I enjoy the tussles and the banter, and it was only light-hearted, wasn't it? So there was no ill feeling there, and we moved on. You were asked on Tuesday night, David, if it bothered you that you decided not to put back-to-back wins for I think 10 months now. You said that it didn't. Knowing you, David, and working with you over the last couple of seasons, I was a little bit surprised by that answer. Yeah, I told a bit of a porky really, because of course it bothers me, but I'm not going to say that after the game. I want the players to understand it. We've got a new squad, and that's understandable that people will find those statistics. That's what your jobs are for. But let's face it. There's been a dramatic amount of changes, and for different reasons. But yeah, I think we thoroughly deserved it. So unfortunately, it wasn't to be, and there's no point in kicking your dummy out. And we move on, and we'll do fine. And I'm pleased with what we've got so far. Fantastic opportunity this weekend. 2 games so close together to get that first back-to-back win. Yeah, it would be, David. But what I say is that as long as my players give that same commitment, and that certainly the way the mannerism they went about, and they fought for every ball on Tuesday night, and I think the fans are appreciating that type of style. They love wholehearted players here. I think Tyrone Thompson and Gary Mills really did a good job in midfield on Tuesday night, albeit it was a tough game, and they both showed the characteristics that the faithful here like, and I think that was complemented by the centre halves and defenders putting their bodies on the line. And the work rate from our forwards was very good. So there's a lot of aspects that we would like to turn those into a positive. If it had been the 3 points, we would have all gone home and had the champagne, wouldn't we?